The following program is a paid advertisement for Texas Brew and Barbecue.
We're Ty and Christy, two fun-loving Texans with a huge passion for good barbecue, cold beer, and lots of good times.
We're traveling the state for the best barbecue Texas has to offer.
And we are also bringing to you some of the most authentic craft beer known to Texas.
And we're going to show you top secret recipes and smoking barbecue tips from some of the most seasoned pitmasters around.
Together, we're going to learn how to pair the right brew with the best barbecue.
We want to connect you with the smokehouses and breweries behind the Lone Star State.
We love Texas Brew and Barbecue.
Today, I'm headed over to 18th and Vine right here in Dallas, and I'm going to learn a little bit more about Kansas City style barbecue. Let's check it out.
Scott, Gina, nice to meet you guys.
How you doing?
Good.
To see
Good to see
you.
you.
You as well.
I've heard so much about 18th and Vine, and I wanted to come and meet you guys because there's a lot of story here, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I know you're going to take me to the kitchen, and you're going to show me one of you guys' unique dishes.
Yeah, going to show you some grits and some chicken.
Man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Gina, I heard you are #1 when it comes to pairing drinks with food. So my wife made it very clear that I need to learn a lot from you.
Oh boy, the pressure's on.
All right. All right, so you want to head to the kitchen?
Yeah, let me show you the way.
We'll be back.
Okay, so we're going to make some grits.
All right,
okay?
I can't wait to see this.
Basic ingredients we're going to be using in the grits is cheddar cheese, jalapenos, some roasted chilies, salt, garlic, butter, little Franks, and the grits.
Frank's goes a long ways.
We get the stone gun grits so that they have like a lot of bite to it.
Uh-huh.
A little different texture than like the instant grits like maybe we grew up on. First thing is you could use chicken stock, you could use milk. We use water. We keep it so it's a vegetarian kind of option.
Okay.
With it. So first I'm going to add a little bit of water in there, and then I'll start putting my ingredients in. I'm going to add some grits in. I'm going to whisk them in there so that I just get it kind of incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my garlic powder, some chilies. I'm going to cut up some jalapenos real quick. You can either leave the seeds in if you want it really spicy or take them out. Rough chop is for small dice, rough chop, whatever you want. You don't have to overthink it. The flavor is going to be there.
How do you cut so close to your fingers?
Very carefully, and
It's making
with
me
gloves
nervous.
on and a knife that's not yours. How's that? A couple jalapenos in there. Our cheddar cheese. You can also add the cheddar cheese and the fat at the end if you'd like. Sometimes it'll allow it to cook a little bit differently. And I'm going to add our butter. A little salt. Well, little. Remember, the butter's not salted.
Oh, you got to have salt and grits.
Right. Lastly, a little bit of Frank's. All said and done, we'll be able to come back to this, and it'll be all cooked. And we'll actually finish it off in what we call the salamander, or you broil it.
Right.
To get a little cheese on top.
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect.
Moving on?
Yeah, moving on.
While Ty's hanging out at 18th and Vine, I'm heading deep into the heart of Arlington, Texas, to show you guys one of these awesome hidden gems, Legal Draft.
Hi, Greg. I'm Christy.
I'm Greg.
Nice to meet
Pleasure
you.
to meet you.
Well, I'm excited to be here at Legal Draft.
Glad to have you.
Tell me a little bit about this place.
Well, we started this place about 3 years ago here in my hometown of Arlington. I live about 5 or 6 minutes away from here, have for the last 30 years, and it's just it's really the kind of the culmination of a dream between myself and my partner Kurt Taylor, who's also my neighbor. 20 years ago, we sat around talking about wanting to start a brew pub. We were drinking beer on his back patio with some friends, and everybody thought, yeah, it's a great idea. And that was Saturday night. Went to church on Sunday, went back to our real jobs on Monday. Nobody ever did anything. Fast forward to about 5 years ago, and we were sitting on my porch this time drinking beer, same friends, same activity. And I said, guys, I'm going to open a craft brewery. And they said, hey, fantastic. And I think most of them meant free beer for me.
Of course.
And Kurt said, I want to be part of it. So a few years later, here we are.
And that's how it worked out. So I think it's really interesting that when you come in this place, you're going to see an entire ambiance of cool things that lead back to your background, which is you're a lawyer.
I'm a recovering attorney.
Look at that. And you brought all of that, which I think is great because legislation just did something really big with craft beer
They did.
And that means a lot of good things for places like you.
I think so. What they just passed, and we're waiting on the governor to sign it, is a beer to go bill that makes Texas the 50th and final state in the union that allows breweries like ours, that are production breweries, to sell beer to go to consumers directly. Now, they put a limit on it. We can sell 288 ounces, which is one case per person per day.
We've seen a little bit of this place, but I think we want to see a lot more.
Okay.
So you want to take us on a tour back through where the magic happened?
Sure, let's go take a look.
Okay. So this is it. This is the magic. This is where we are getting the final product.
That's it.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the brew process.
Well, first of all, the thing is everything that we produce at Legal Draft is made right here in this building. We distribute all over the state, so whether you're buying a beer in a supermarket or a liquor store or a bar or a restaurant, might be El Paso or Corpus or Longview or right here in Arlington, it's made in this building.
It's here. And talking about where you guys started, when you came in and you opened this place, were you just pedal to the metal, or did you guys start with a few and gradually grow?
I guess that depends on your perspective. We really were kind of pedal to the metal. I mean, I'm in my late 50s. We didn't have time for a 10 or 15 year growth program, so we needed to kind of get started and get going right away. Well, we started with 9 tanks, 7 fermenters and 2 bright beer tanks, and now we're up to, I believe the number is 13 fermenters of different sizes and 3 bright beer tanks. That's the big tanks where we put the beer to just store for a couple or 3 days before we actually put it in cans or kegs.
Yeah. How much manpower does it take back here? Are you guys constantly running, or is it running 7 days a week, or do you guys try to keep it on a schedule?
No, we've got a schedule for the moment that we're brewing and packaging usually 4 to 5 days a week, just a Monday through Friday. We typically do not do any sort of production work on the weekends. And we have a pretty lean operation, really. We've had the same 4 guys back here for a couple of years now, and they do a great job. They get along well. We had an impromptu company cookout today because Kevin, our lead brewer, decided he wanted to flip some burgers. So that's what we did at lunch.
Hey, that's our kind of man. I think he loves beer and barbecue.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, so we snuck a little beer on the way in.
We did.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about what we are drinking here?
Sure, and you have to, because it's really bad luck to take any sort of brewery tour without a beer in your hand. I'm having our You've Been Cerveza'd Mexican lager, which is our seasonal right now. And for you, I poured the Old Fashioned Justice. We decided to take some of our Presumed Innocent IPA and age it in whiskey barrels. Aged those for about 2 months, and then for the last couple of weeks we threw in some orange peel, and that gives it that little zing to me that reminds me of an old fashioned. So we figured we'd call that Old Fashioned Justice, and it's been a hit.
Well, I love the Old Fashioned Justice.
It's one of my favorites. I think it's really good stuff.
Yeah, well, I would definitely agree. So, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, you just showed me those cheese grits, which look amazing, and I can't wait to try that. So what are we doing now? It looks like we're working with chicken.
We are.
Is it spatchcock chicken?
Spatchcock. So what that means is we cut the backs out and we push it down and kind of break the ribs a little bit.
Right.
So that it's flat. And what that's going to do is allow for like an even kind of cooking.
Right.
It's really good for the way that we do our barbecue chicken here. So we take our chicken, we brine it.
Okay.
Brine it about a day. Okay. To make sure that we're going to get a little bit of juiciness and all the flavors that we want inside the meat. So the last step that we do is once we brine it and we have our chickens, we're going to add our poultry rub onto it. Okay. And we get it everywhere. Just like with all our barbecue, whether it's brisket, pork, pork butts, or ribs, same thing. We're going to be massaging the product into it so that we get it to actually adhere to the product. So I'm going to put a healthy amount of rub on the birds, and we're off to the smoker. We got oak and hickory is what we use primarily.
Okay.
Again, Kansas, Texas, geographically speaking, Kansas has different wood than Texas does. They don't have mesquite. So you won't find mesquite in Kansas. You'll find the oak and the hickory and some fruitwoods up north.
Is that the biggest difference between Kansas City and Texas? Is it the woods, or is there a different way that they do? Because I know burn-ins are a Kansas City thing.
Yeah, they are a Kansas City thing. Well, Kansas City sauces and flavor profiles are going to be sweet and spicy.
Okay.
Texas primarily, although there's everything everywhere, is going to be salt and pepper.
Okay.
And with wood in Texas, you primarily find mesquite, hickory, oak, some pecan, but mainly those three. Right. When you get to Kansas, you don't have the mesquite, but you get more fruit wood kind of influence. Okay. And then also you get more of a flavor profile set on like sweet and spicy. So sugar plays more of a part. The heat, the cayenne comes in, aside from just black pepper and salt. And then two, because you had the railroads that came from the east,
right,
and Chicago from up north, and Texas, all the beef from here, you have a huge play of pork.
Right.
That played into everything. So you have a lot more kind of things going on as far as barbecue goes, where Texas, although we do everything, brisket is where it's at. When you go to the East Coast, pork is where it's at.
All right, so here we are, flight of beer. But first, I have to say, I love details, little details. Let me just look at this. The trial exhibit. It's a breakdown of what we're about to drink, but it's those little details that really make the atmosphere so much fun, and it kind of brings all of your favorite things and your history into this place.
Sure.
So, all right, well, let's dig in and tell me what we got.
From your left to right, we've got sort of light to dark. We've got our Nowhere But Texas.
Okay.
That's our 4.2% premium American lager. Very easy, very responsible all-day drinking choice. And it's just really designed for a nice crushable beer in warm weather, so that you can have a few and nobody gets hurt.
So if we're trying to play it safe initially, this would be a great place to start.
Sure, they say you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
That's our
and
favorite motto.
If that's going to be your day, this is a really
Here
good
it
choice.
is. Okay. I could definitely drink that all day. So next we have the You've Been Cerveza.
Right, that's our current seasonal right now. We put out a seasonal in cans and draft every couple of months, and that's it for now.
Was this one of the original?
No, that one just came out May 1st. That's the first time that we've done a Mexican lager, but we've about 90% decided that we're going to introduce that into the regular year-round core lineup.
I think you should, because I can already envision the pull and chips and queso.
Yeah, Exhibit C is Smash and Grab.
Okay.
It's our Smash IPA, and what we mean by Smash is single malt and single hop.
Okay.
So in other words, a lot of these beers, almost all of the rest of these beers, are made with several different kinds of malts. There's a lightly toasted malt and a dark toasted malt. This one here's got some flaked oats in it. There's a variety of things that we'll use on the malt side. For this beer, the Smash, we get a single malt, that's the two-row barley, and then we use a single hop, just Citra, in the making of this beer. So it really kind of highlights what each one of those is about. The IPAs tend to be hoppier and more complex, and this one is, but it's also pretty simple and straightforward, and most people who are not really even IPA drinkers, they'll have one of those, and I love to hear this. It's like, doggone, I don't like IPAs, but I could have a couple of those.
This is a good one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you should smash and grab it today.
Smash and grab it.
Okay. I immediately smelled too as soon as I brought. Oh my gosh, yeah. I could. Sometimes, a lot of times, when you think of the hops in the IPAs, sometimes you get scared off by the pungency or the words, and I think that's a lot of times why people don't like to order them, or they like to say they don't ever want to drink them.
Right.
But this is also a classic introduction to it.
We call it a gateway IPA.
Yeah.
And you know the thing about IPAs, they're as varied as red wines, for instance. If somebody says, I like red wine or I don't like red wine, they might like them all. I do. Yeah. But they might also like something that's more delicate, like a Pinot Noir, or they might like something that's really rich and earthy and full of tobacco and cedar and things like a Malbec. Or they might like a little bit
Pretty sure he knows me.
or they might like a little bit of each, or some of one and not the other, depending on what time of day they're drinking and how hot it is and what they're eating. All IPAs are not the same. All hops are not the same. That hoppiness and the pininess can be there in certain hops, but even a hoppy beer like that doesn't have to just, sand your tongue off, and it doesn't have to be all about pine or earth. That one's really the thing that comes forward in that Smash is the citrus and the tropical notes.
Yeah. And I could see all of that. I get that whole storyboard right here.
Sure.
All right, I think we're down to the last one.
Last two, actually. You've got Haziest Corpus ahead of you as well.
Haziest Corpus.
Haziest Corpus, our hazy IPA. And so the idea of that really to me is two things. It needs to be nice and cloudy. You shouldn't be able to see through it.
Definitely
And
needs that.
I'll let you take a drink of it and get your reaction because I want to see if you'd say what I've said, what I would say. Now, does that taste more like a beer or more like something else?
Gosh, it's a beer, but it's something else.
To me, it does, and it should taste like a mimosa.
That's exactly, I could see, envision a mimosa in the flavors and everything else that come down with it.
And now we're to the last exhibit, Exhibit E. That's our barley wine. And a barley wine is really just sort of loosely defined as something that's high in alcohol. It's dark, it's pretty sweet.
So this is closing time.
This is closing time.
This is closing time. We started, and we're closing time.
That's right.
You know, it's dark, but it's not so dark. The swallow isn't so dark. It's not really thick. It's not really syrupy.
Right.
And I think that is a lot of times when people look at dark beer, they're thinking those things are all going to be turnoffs, or it's going to be not where you need to be. And this isn't that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going. I want to know a little bit more about the history here. I think we're going to walk over and take a look at some of these cans.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. Let's learn more of the story. All right, so we learned a little bit about the location. We learned a lot about what you guys have on tap, what's seasonal, but there's a little more history that I think is awesome. And you're gonna tell us a little bit about the backstory that comes with legal draft and how these beers play an intricate role in a story you're about to tell, right?
Yeah, I like to say our brewery has great beer and great people, but we have a story to tell. And the story really goes like this. The legal blonde is prosecuting her case against the accused. The charge is smash and grab. The defendant, of course, is presumed innocent. And this is no mock trial. And it's not a legal holiday, and we're not even in summer recess. Participation is not optional because you've been surveyed and you will be under oath. Now, when the Chief Justice conducts this trial, she doesn't want to face impeachment, so she'd better apply black letter law, or else we're going to have a hung jury. The defendant will go free and clear, and we'll have to let that man go. For now, we do this nowhere but Texas, but hey, you never know.
I love this.
I will share the next seasonal name with you, though. That's coming out in September. That's the Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy.
Yeah, as in, you got to have a Fall Guy.
You do. You do. Everybody does. I think that
That's
was
right.
Hey, that beat the names that I tried to come up with. Well, we really loved it here. I'm really glad you had us at Legal Draft.
Yeah.
I am always up for a really good competition and another beer.
Okay.
I noticed that you guys have a lot of places that people can come out and drink. You guys can fill people up here.
Yep,
They can come back here and play games,
they can.
drink some beers. They can hang out in the tap room. Or they can go outside underneath that pretty little umbrella and enjoy the weather that we have.
Yeah,
So, well, I saw those cornhole boards over there.
yeah,
I'm really good at cornhole.
yeah.
Best of 2.
Let's do it.
Okay,
You're on.
3 bags.
Okay.
Let's go. All right, so the time is now.
All right.
And for those of you that don't know what cornhole is, it's beanbag toss for adults. And I don't know why. Why do we call it cornhole?
I have no idea.
We have no idea, but we're gonna play.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna win.
Oh yeah, most likely.
We have 4 bags.
Unless you let me win.
Well, I don't do that.
Yeah, I doubt. I wouldn't want you to anyway.
I'm a mean competitor.
All right.
All right, so I'll let you go first. Oh, we have to just play on the same
We have
side?
to play on the same side, yeah, because you can knock mine out of the way and all
Well,
that kind of
shoot,
stuff.
there's rules. It's not just beanbag toss. I take that back. I better take a drink first.
Yeah, drink one for luck.
All right.
Oh, oh, right over the
totally
top.
hopped over my-
How about that?
All right, here it is, here it is. What if I get 2 in?
Then you get 2 points. And I've seen it happen before too. Oh, sorry about that.
Well, here's the deal. come to Legal Draft, try all of their beer. It's really good. Come enjoy the ambiance, play some cornhole, listen to the band that's setting up right now, meet some really fun people, and just have a good time. I think here in Arlington, Texas, it's really fun. You have a lot going on around here, right?
Yeah, we really do. The neighborhood that we're in is called Urban Union. And you may have noticed some of the features of the inside of the brewery, but this used to be the service department at a car dealership. And when we took over here in the early part of 2016, it was a really rundown building, and the whole neighborhood after the sun went down was dark and scary. And the folks that own this place have done a terrific job. There's now offices across the street. There's a new taco bar over there. There's an axe throwing venue coming in, Texas Axe Throwers.
Here close?
Right across the parking lot. Connie Rosa's coming in across the street in probably the early part of next year. There's a new restaurant 2 blocks down the street called Tipsy Oak. And I'm really, really proud of the part that we've played in getting this part of town back together and getting it revitalized, because it's turning into a really cool part of town.
We love Texas Brew and Barbecue!
I had such a great time at Legal Draft. Let's head over to see what Ty's learning at 18th and Vine.
Gina, it looks like you've been busy up here.
I sure have.
All right, now I'm going to need you to teach me how to pair drink with food. My wife has made it very clear that I need to learn how to do this. So
that's quite important.
I've heard a lot about what you know about this, so if you could teach me, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll just take it 101.
Yep.
And all right, so there's...
Really dumb it down for me.
Okay. So really there are 2 schools of thought when it comes to pairings, and that is the complementing strategy, and then there's the contrasting strategy. Both of them result in a wonderful pairing, but they just come from 2 different places. The complementing strategy is where you take 2 like items, like a buttery Chardonnay with a buttery linguine with clams and a white wine sauce, and you marry those together. And they like each other. They taste well together. They are really, really complementing each other in every which way.
They're almost similar in taste.
Exactly,
Right.
and that's a nice experience. Now, the contrasting is if you took that same dish, that same linguine with clams and white wine, and you put it with a dry Sauvignon Blanc, something that's very high in acid, and that would be a great pairing as well, because you're really cleansing your palate for each bite of that linguine with the white wine. So each bite is going to taste new and fresh and exciting as the first one did, instead of weighting your palate down.
Okay.
Now, it's basically based on preference. They're both wonderful pairings. Sometimes you're in the mood for a dry Sauvignon Blanc. Sometimes you're more in the mood for something heavier that has a little bit of oak or a little bit of malolactic fermentation into it. So it depends on what you're in the mood for, mainly. But you can really do either way and come out with a wonderful, wonderful pairing experience.
Okay, this looks amazing. I can't wait to try this. Here we go. Oh my gosh, that rub.
All comes out, that brine, that thyme, that
That is
smoke,
delicious.
the tenderness.
I gotta get some of that rub before I leave. That's really good. Okay, so this is the
Complimenting.
complimenting. Cheers. Okay. Now I see it.
You see where I was coming
Right.
from? Yeah.
So should I take another bite and then do
Yes.
that? Okay.
It's a whole new story with a whole new beverage to taste with. It's got a little bite to it.
Little bite. And you can tell it kind of washes that chicken right out.
Exactly.
So that is killer. That is really good. The spice. You can taste the Franks.
A little bit of heat. You have the roundness of the roasted chicken. chilies, and then the freshness of the fresh jalapenos with that cheddar. And
that's really, really good. Awesome. Guys, I really appreciate you having me here and feeding me. And I just want to say to anybody that is watching the show right now, if you want a great lunch, even date night like we talked about, come to 18th and Vine right here in Dallas in the Oak Lawn area, right here off Maple. The information's on the screen, but you got to come check them out. Tell them you saw the show, and have a great time.
I had such a great time at Legal Draft, and Ty must have picked up some really cool tricks at 18th and Vine. Let's check out what he's cooking on the Char Griller Smokin' Champ, because our backyard smells delicious.
So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take this whole chicken and we're gonna turn it into spatchcock chicken. So what I like to do first is you need some sharp chicken shears, a whole chicken, very inexpensive, some olive oil, and I prefer the Char Griller chicken dry rub right here. So this is what we're gonna use on it. So what you want to do on this whole chicken is you want to find the backbone, which is located right here. You get your shears and you want to cut on each side of this backbone. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove that bone. You may have to use a little muscle. Apparently I don't have any right now. Cut all the way through, like so. And you got that bone right there. You're going to cut on the other side, all the way down. Okay, and here is our backbone that we removed. So that over to the side. So now that we got that backbone removed, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the bird up a little bit right here, and right in between the two breasts, you're going to make a little snip like that. So you got a little cut right in between there. So we're gonna take the bird, flip it over, like so. You're gonna take the palm of your hand, you're gonna press down, and you're gonna hear a little crack. And we're gonna drizzle some olive oil on it. This is gonna help the chicken skin and hold the rub on it. Rub the olive oil in there real good. So we're gonna use the Char Griller chicken rub, and we're gonna put some of this dry rub all over the chicken. All in there. This rub is amazing. All right, so we're waiting for the grill to get to temp. And what you want to do is you want to get the grill to about 275 to 300 degrees. Put this thing on there. Let it go for about an hour until the thickest part of the meat is 165. You got to be safe. 165 on poultry. So once we check temp and we're at 165 in about an hour or so, take it off, let it rest for a few minutes, slice it up. Because there's nothing better than barbecue, family, and friends, and the Char Griller Smokin' Champ is a backyard favorite. Be sure to check out Legal Draft in Arlington and 18th and Vine in Dallas.
The preceding program was a paid advertisement for Texas Brew and Barbecue.